So these elves actually, the defenses of the city of the elves actually, raise the waters, and so the waters actually, kills. It doesn't kill, definitely, I know the story, but for the time being, it kill them, right? So the elves they have power of the elements of this earth. They are like Greek gods, right, from the mythology. But we know all about them. When they die, if they die, they go to this place, the Mangos,
Halls of Mangos,
right?
Yeah.
But then they come back. I mean, their destiny is fulfilled in this earth. So one of the reasons why the elves don't understand human beings is that human beings are made for something that is still unsaid. They don't know where we are going after death. In Tolkien's saga, this is supposed to remain a mystery. Even the highest angels don't know about it. So it's like being made for something so high that not even angels know what we're made for. So it is a mystery. Elves just die and they come back. This is their destiny, this world. We are made for something else, for something more. This world is not enough for us. And Tolkien actually writes clearly about this in the Silmarillion beginning. So if you look for these passages, he will just say that clearly. I mean, we are, even the highest angels will envy us for this gift of death, because death will be the door for our true destiny, our true fulfillment. So this is the beginning of the Catechism, which you can find. I mean, the Catechism also, of course, is a very famous and beautiful line by St. Augustine. If you go to point 30 and 30, the quotation is, "You are great, O Lord, and greatly to be praised, and great is your power, and your wisdom is without measure, and man, so small a part of your creation, wants to praise you. This man, though clothed with mortality and bearing the evidence of sin, and the proof that you withstand the proud, despite everything, man, though but a small part of your creation, wants to praise you. You yourself encourage him to delight in your praise, for you have made us for yourself, and our heart is restless until it rests in you." So this restless heart idea became one of the main literature source of inspiration for Christian thought, because this is what we are, a restless heart, until we find our true happiness in God. So, according to already this very first part of the Catechism makes it clear that our dignity rests on this very issue, on this being called to a communion with God. If you go to point 27, the quotation, it says, "The dignity of man rests above all on the fact that he is called to communion with God." And this is a quotation from one of the dogmas from the Second Vatican Council. And it says, above all, we should focus on it. It's not a theoretical thing. I mean, our dignity, of course, you know, and we will read it later on if we have time from other parts of the Catechism, lies on being made in the image of God, right? Being similar to Him. But actually, this is kind of static concept. Actually, we are called to do something, to be in a certain situation with God, to be in communion with Him. We need to reach that level of being together with God. It's not just being made in a certain way. It's like becoming a certain community with God. We need to be with Him. Our dignity is about going towards God and becoming one with Him. See, this is our destiny. So this first part of the Catechism starts with our goal, our desire. And our dignity is actually in this kind of afterlife goal we have. And that we can get also from Tolkien, who was actually focusing on it. So if you read Tolkien according to this line, you would say that our dignity, what made elves and angels in Tolkien's world envy us, was that we were called to something higher than any of them could see, something beyond the mountains, beyond death, and nobody knows where we are going after death. I'm talking from Tolkien's line, right? So this is the great dignity that we are going towards some kind of place and destiny which goes beyond this world. Of course, I mean, the philosophers here already kind of drew the conclusion that if we aim at God, if we aim at something which goes beyond what we can see in this world, it means that we know something that is beyond this world. So the second section here in the Catechism is focusing on our ways to know God. So our intellect can see God, can find God through His Word. Okay, this is very technical. I don't want to become too technical in this context, but when you go back to read this part of the Catechism, remember that there are a lot. I can give you some bibliography if you want after this talk. But this is kind of a synthesis of the famous proofs for the existence of God that, starting with the Greek philosophy, were kind of summarized by Thomas Aquinas in the 13th century. And they became kind of, I mean, the church recognized that this is also one of the main truths that God revealed to us, that our intellect actually is able to reach the knowledge of God by itself, by its own natural power. So how does that work? I mean, I'm more interested not just in the technicality of it right now, but in what it means. Again, with the help of fantasy land. So it means basically that when we open our mind's eyes to reality, it's like reality is not ending with what we see. It's like it is kind of transparent to something else, something beyond it. So when we look at reality and at ourselves, of course, we see something else. We see that reality doesn't explain itself. It needs some kind of explanation that goes beyond this reality as we see it. So we get the idea, and there is a logical reasoning that we can try to, if this were a course in metaphysics or the philosophy of God, we would probably spend a few classes just to get deeper into this kind of technical train of reasoning. But right now we are just interested in knowing how the main path works. So the way it works is that we understand that everything we know, our intellect, understand that everything we know is not the cause of itself. Everything is definitely, it is something, but it's not like it can give itself existence. The reason why I don't have power on my life, the reason why I cannot promise my lover that I'll be there forever, is that I don't have power to give myself the existence. But still I exist. Things exist. This chair exists, but this chair is not able to give itself existence, so how can it exist? So our mind, by itself, without need of special philosophy classes, kind of reach this idea that things require a cause, an ultimate cause, which goes beyond the physical. So naturally it reaches the idea of a God as a creator. So it reaches the idea that this world is staying in existence because a God is taking it in its hand. So it's holding the world, its existence, because the world cannot give existence to itself. We can think of a chair, but if we think of a chair, it doesn't mean that the chair exists. So existing and the concept of a chair, they're not the same things. What's the difference between the chair I can think in my mind and the chair which is right here? Is that the chair right here is existing. The chair in my mind is not existing. I cannot give existence to my idea. But if I were God, I could. But if I gave existence to the chair in my mind, since nothing existed before this chair, I should keep this chair in my hand. You know, if God stopped thinking even for a second of the world would stop existing. Because it's like saying, if you sculpture something, you have a statue, right? The statue keeps existing after you finish sculpturing it, right? Because you are working on something which is already existing. The form you're giving to the rock, to the marble, it's a form coming from you, but you're just molding something which is existing. You're not giving existence to the statue. But if I had to put the statue, the rock in existence before and then mold it into a statue, I would need to keep it in existence, because nothing else in the statue would keep it existing. So our mind realizes that the world needs a cause, which is present to the world. I mean, God is here right now. He's present to this, podium, right? Podium, to this microphone, to myself, because he needs to be thinking of these things, otherwise they wouldn't exist. So in the Catholic doctrine, there is the idea of the presence of God in the world. And God is present in the world, ontologically, just because things exist. So he's here right now. Then there are different levels of being present. He's present in a very special way in people in grace, people who are baptized. According to Christian doctrine, he's present in a way which is more personal, it's higher. It's the sacramental way of being present. But he's already present because things exist. So our mind, looking at the world, already sees something beyond this world. And so it's already prepared for God. And then he discovers, our mind, discovers that these things that exist beyond this world is actually our main goal, is what I'm thirsty of. It's what I'm aiming at, really. So I'm knowing something, I don't really know exactly what it is. We call this God. I know that I really want this thing more than anything else, because if God exists, of course, it's much more important than anything else. And so, since I am this kind of being, I'm ready to receive the revelation. So God comes to tell me the truth about what I'm already aiming at. I kind of know God already. I aim at God. And that's why I'm prepared to receive the full truth about Him. And this is why God comes to meet man, because man is made in such a way. So Christian anthropology, first of all, means that our nature is transcendental. It's like in the fantasy story. We walk in this world, but we are not really from this world. We are in between two worlds, right? And the way we exist this way is because we have something in us which is not really earthly. Greek philosophers talk about something divine in us. There is something which is divine. And they call it soul. So that's why we started talking about soul, because there is something in us which is not reducible just to matter, to the body. So at that point we have two concepts. One for what we share with all these material things around us. And one for something that we don't share with it, something that cannot stop existing just because of death. And we call it the soul. So when we focus on what kind of being we are, the reason why we are so strange, we are between two different worlds, is that part of us is just body, and that ends with this life. Part of us is not just body, and it keeps existing, the soul. Even pre-Christian philosophers kind of theorized this. So Plato, for example, and I recommend you to read Phaedro, is the most famous work in which he tries to explain why our soul is immortal and spiritual. So already kind of figure that we are these kind of strangers, that this life is just very short and it's meant for something else. We are supposed to deserve something which is coming after this life.